Hot topic for Monday on the heels of another standout performance for AC Milan and a highlight reel assist in the match. Is Christian Pulisic too good to stay in Milan?
Stirring it up a little bit here, Robert, with this question. Is he too good to stay at AC Milan? Well, first, let me give AC Milan the credit the club deserves. This is a historically important club in the history of European football, Robert. I mean, you could argue that Milan ushered in the modern era of football in the 90s and going into the 2000s.
Sure.
This is a massive, massive team by any measure. I don't need to get into whether their revenues match with a City or a Real Madrid or anything like that to know that, right? That it is disrespectful to say, well, Milan can't compete economically with those teams, therefore they're not a big club. That's not how it should work. I mean, again, whether or not that's how it works when they go into the transfer market, that's a different question. But in terms of where they rank among the great clubs of the world, they're in that conversation for the top tier. But maybe Christian Pulisic is too good for Milan.
As I look at his stats, he does lead the team in player rating, top scorer, and top assist maker.
The bottom line is that AC Milan right now is probably not going to be competing for any major trophies.
No.
That's not a controversial statement, right? They are behind the top 2 or 3 teams in Italy right now. I think everybody recognizes that. I mean, the start of their season drove home that point. They are not, therefore, much of a contender for anything in the Champions League. Like, we shall see how it continues to play out with the new format and all those things. And I suspect that they'll be in the quarterfinals and then give themselves a chance to maybe do something if they can spring maybe an upset or two. It depends on sort of who they get matched up with when they get to that level. That's pretty much every one of these tournaments. But there are obviously clubs that you look at them and go, well, it doesn't really matter who they draw. They'll be favorites. That's Madrid. That's City. That's maybe a Bayern. Right? That's not AC Milan. That's not where they are. So I guess that this comes down to, would Christian Pulisic be able to do this in a team that is a contender to win a major trophy, whether that's in one of the top 5 leagues of Europe or the Champions League? And based on current form, I'd have to say yes. But let's not forget, and we all watch the video of him in a golf cart talking candidly about his experience in Milan in that very understated Christian Pulisic way.
Great,
bro. That's great, bro. Milan is great, bro. He is thriving because he likes where he's at. And if he wasn't where he's at, would he be thriving? That's a reasonable question to ask.
Yeah, the fit into the team and his form are definitely not a mistake that they're going together. The question arises because we want to see him near the top of the table in whatever league that he is participating
Did
on.
you know Benito Mussolini put...
Sorry about that. Not sure what happened there.
We got sound drops on this show now.
Yeah, apparently we do. That's my fault. Doing this live is causing me problems. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I bring up the question, is he too good for Milan? Because he is leading the team for a team that is not at the top of the table. And hopefully Milan can get some wins because they're 0-2 in Champions League. Hopefully they can get some results in Champions League so that they can make the knockout round. So there's more games where he's on that huge stage. Yeah. And I mean, he provided the assist in the 1-0 win, but they were down a man. So Milan showing a little bit of mettle and some defense solidity that they haven't shown previously. So maybe I'm selling them a little short. Maybe they are on the improvement.
Oh, yeah, it's possible. It's possible. By the way, speaking of his comfort level, the man did a post-game press conference, or a post-game interview rather, on the field in Italian. He did it in Italian. I don't know. I don't know how good his Italian is. I'm not a judge of Italian, but the fact that he's been, learning, he wants to be engaged with the culture in Milan, that's a statement about how comfortable he is. I think if you could look at it this couple ways. One, from an American perspective, do you care more about Christian Pulisic feeling good about himself, being confident, playing good football, because that will come to play for the U.S. men's national team, that will make him a better player for the U.S. when we go into games that mean something? And again, we're still a year and a half from the World Cup, roughly. Or do you think it's important for him to be at a club that is contending for trophies in whatever context? And you would think, Premier League, Bundesliga, Serie A, La Liga are top of that list, and obviously Champions League, because it flies the American soccer flag in a way that is good for our soccer culture. Right? More kids running around in Pulisic jerseys, not just because he's a good player, but because he's winning things. I know he's already got a Champions League. I'm not trying to take that away from him. But obviously right now he's playing at a level where he wouldn't be a part-timer. He wouldn't have to worry about his opportunities if he was comfortable, if he felt good, if they believed in him.
In a vapid, very short-sighted, fan-centric way to answer that, I would love for him to be, for Bayern Munich or something like that, and have him be, the banner name on one of the most banner teams on the planet. But in a realistic way, it's probably the former, seeing him be the best team on a legendary team. And, he's building a legitimate, reputation, and he's carving a niche in one of the most important soccer hemispheres or leagues or countries, however you want to state it. He is, carving his niche as one of the top players in one of the most important soccer countries in the land. So, I mean, realistically, we do want him.
Let's not be greedy, right? Let's just take this for what it is and not be like, well, Christian's got to go to a bigger club, or he's got to be playing Champions League finals and that kind of, or it's not good enough. I think you're probably right about that. I will throw this in too. Like, what's very clearly, what's another interesting thing about this, what's very clear is that Milan got a steal, right? Milan got a steal. Chelsea somehow conspired to drive his price down because they treated him like crap for the most part, and he was injured too much, and Milan got a steal. And, it's obviously two different managers now have benefited from Christian Pulisic being healthy and playing at a high level.
I mean, do you think that he would have had this run of form regardless of where he have landed with just having the health? Because he seemed to always work himself back into the Chelsea team whenever he found his fitness.
No, I do think that there's something to be said for Christian is kind of a player who does need a certain set of circumstances. Now, he's only played for 3 clubs, right? Mm-hmm. So we don't have this huge long list of teams in different places, and it worked here and it didn't work there. His first team, he's had some success with because they were known for developing players. They bring him through, they give him opportunities. They're obviously they're taking care of him. Like, it's pretty clear that Dortmund knows how to take care of young players. Yeah. Chelsea did not. Chelsea's idea for taking care of players is sign 1 billion of them and send them out on loan. That's about as much as Chelsea does. I think maybe things are changing at Chelsea, obviously, but during the period when Christian Pulisic was there, they were not good at developing players and bringing them along and showing them care, right? It's kind of like, oh, you're a Chelsea player now? Well, take care of your shit or you'll never play. Right? You need to be on top of this. You need to be better, or there's too much competition. Why would they worry about, and because the money that they could throw around, why would they worry about a Pulisic? Their investment was significant, but small enough relative to some other things that they didn't put in the care. They didn't take care. They didn't get they get the oil changed every 3,000 miles on a Christian Pulisic, Robert. But Milan's in a different position. Despite the fact they didn't spend a crazy amount of money on him, he's relative to his production, he's still a huge investment for them because of where they are financially. So they have to make sure he's successful. It seems as though it's either Milan or the place or the food or the culture or whatever. It agrees with Christian. So I do think he needs that set of circumstances. He's not one of those players that you could sort of drop in anywhere in the world and he would thrive.
To your point earlier about wanting to see Pulisic jerseys running around, have you seen many Pulisic Milan jerseys out in the wild?
I have not. In fact, oddly enough, I mean, maybe it's where I am. Maybe it's where the area that I live in. I live in a very diverse, multicultural kind of place. Mm-hmm. For some reason, I see a lot of Hakimi jerseys, which is a really random thing. I'm like, oh, that's the 3rd Hakimi jersey I've seen in the last week, which, he's an incredible player. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to have people running around with his jersey on. I'm just surprised by that. I don't see a lot of Pulisic. I see a lot of Messi. Messi's everywhere. Messi.
Yeah, I see plenty of United States Pulisic jerseys, and obviously the Inter Miami and the Barcelona Messi kits, but I can't say I've seen maybe more than one Milan Pulisic.
And this is what I would say about that too.
It's probably an
That
Italian thing too.
I wouldn't. I think it indicates that Serie A, they do have a pretty good rights deal with Paramount Plus and CBS, but I don't think they do enough. I mean, the Serie A has been behind the rest of the big European leagues, maybe except for Ligue 1, in terms of marketing themselves outside of their home country, at least, or to our part of the world, right, to North America. And they have some American players, and they have an opportunity to be better about that. And I don't think it's kicked in well enough yet. I mean, I know the Galazzo people talk about it all the time because of the rights. I know they have shows that are specifically around Serie A, and they have talking heads and the like, but it doesn't seem as though they've broken out of that bubble where, like you said, there would be a lot of Christian Pulisic jerseys because, yeah, he's an American. He's the best player Milan has right now, and for some reason, it hasn't become a phenomenon in any particular way.
Yeah, the stagnation of Italian football. They were the leaders of, you said it earlier, brought football to its modern era in the 90s. That was the class of European football during the 90s. And while the Premier League and others were building out TV contracts and building new stadiums and all that, an Italian team still, rent their facilities and stuff like that. So, and they haven't caught up quite yet. With that being said, Pulisic to Real Madrid.
It seems a little crowded over there right now at Madrid. That's the thing. I don't know. You bring it up, but I know it's a little facetious. But I don't know that there's a place right now that makes sense. Now things change, right? And players leave.
Yep.
So, whether that's a Bayern, whether that's one of the top teams in England, perhaps even a Liverpool. I mean, Mo Salah's not going to play there forever, right? Perhaps there is a team that's going to be making a change in the next couple years, and if Pulisic keeps it up, and this is still, we don't have enough of this to say, well, that's just who Pulisic is now, right? We keep saying that this is a great run of form, but if he's going to be that kind of player that gets an 80 million euro move somewhere else, at this point in his career, it's got to be more than just a good run of form. It's got to be the season.
If you want to have your say in today's hot topic on Christian Pulisic, hit us up. Kickaround on X and Instagram, or send us an email at morningkickaround@gmail.com. Need some comments and have your say here on Morning Kick.